Good afternoon, Tess Crawley here, clinical and forensic psychologist and director of Dr. Tess Crawley and Associates in Hobart and Launceston. I'm doing a little video today to discuss why it is that I'm doing these videos. So certainly a little bit of a circular topic there. It has come to, where are we now, day 26 of my 90-day vlog challenge, and prior to that I started off with a 5-day vlog challenge, and before that I was doing a couple of little random videos here and there as a result of doing some training. Now as I've gotten further into this particular vlogging challenge, time has passed and certain mental health related events have popped up, and of course it's been relevant for me to comment on them if they're on the day that I'm vlogging. So on Sunday it was World Suicide Prevention Day, and if you've not seen that video, I'll post it again. I'll post the link in the comment section to this video, because in that one I talk quite a bit about how you can help people who are suicidal. I talked about my own family history related to suicide, and I also talked about what you can do if you are feeling suicidal. With that video I also posted some links in the comments to organisations like Beyond Blue. And Beyond Blue is a fabulous resource website that has links to all sorts of things. They also have a support phone number that you can call if you're feeling at risk. They also have an app that you can download on your phone called Beyond Now, which is to help you with safety planning around reducing your risk of suicide if you're feeling at risk yourself. So today's topic sort of is sandwiched between Sunday's World Suicide Prevention Day and tomorrow is Are You OK Day. Now, Are You OK is an initiative that started around helping to reduce the stigma associated with talking about suicide. So we're very careful in the mental health community to encourage media, for example, to be responsible in how they talk about suicide. So the reporting of suicides in the community, TV shows, and I know there's been some controversy recently about a particular TV show on the internet around suicide, and of course news. So there's been a case recently where a young woman was before the courts for inciting the suicide of her boyfriend instead of seeking help for him. So every now and then you'll see suicide as a topic pop up in the media. That's not really what we're talking about today. We're talking about ahead of Are You OK Day tomorrow, and I will talk about that again tomorrow. So it is the topic of the week, suicide prevention. The reason I do all these vlogs, so the reason I'm in your face every day, I've mentioned before that one of my main motivators is to present an example of the face of psychology. Not that I am the face of psychology, but that by putting my face out there, people realise, oh, maybe psychologists aren't so bad. So even if someone in Sydney or Western Australia or Timbuktu, for that matter, is watching these vlogs, they can see that psychologists are people just like the rest of us. Well, we're all humans. If you saw my vlog last night, you would have seen me in all my pre-bed glory with my dressing gown wrapped warmly around me as I made a last-minute dash to get my vlog in for the day, so I didn't break my my run of consecutive vlogs. So for me, a big part of speaking publicly, which is what these vlogs are, it's public speaking really. So for me, speaking publicly about topics related to psychology, topics related to being a psychologist, and mental health related issues, it's all about bringing those topics out into the public, opening up conversations. And I'm always saying I welcome your comments and your questions, whether you're live with me while I'm live on Facebook or whether you want to ask me a question later. I always welcome those. So opening up the conversations. And of course, helping to reduce stigma. Now, stigma is a word that's thrown around rather loosely, but the stigma around mental health is actually quite damaging, because stigma is twofold, really. It will prevent people from seeking help because they're embarrassed, or they're in denial that perhaps they have a mental health issue, or they're feeling deeply ashamed of what they're experiencing, and they're frightened of being judged harshly by the community or their family or their friends. So stigma works against the mental health profession because it works to stop people from seeking help. So it's really important that we talk openly about our experiences of having mental health issues. For example, me speaking about my family's experience on Sunday. To talk openly about our experience of mental health issues, to talk openly about the common nature of so many mental health concerns. For example, anxiety and depression are so incredibly common, and yet it's something that people are really frightened to admit to experiencing. The other side of the coin with stigma is that it can act to stop people checking in on others to make sure that they're okay. So for example, if you're worried about somebody and you're someone you know well, and you know how they are when they're well, and you know them well enough to know that something's not quite right with them, the concern that they might be experiencing an anxiety episode or a suicidal episode, the stigma around mental health can actually prevent people from broaching the topic. So it's really important to be aware when stigma is influencing you through denial or embarrassment or shame, or being fearful that you'll be called alarmist if you're raising concerns about somebody. So tomorrow I'll talk more about Are You OK Day in particular, which is all about checking in with our mates. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about stigma and reducing stigma in the community. So for example, putting our hands up and saying, and I'm the first one, anyone who's seen me for perinatal mental health issues, I'm the first one to say that with both my kids I spent time in the mother-baby unit for different reasons, and came perilously close to postnatal depression with my first child. Now, the only reason I know it wasn't actually depression was as soon as I got a good night's sleep, I was back to my normal self. But it illustrates that exhaustion and depression can look very, very similar. And I will quite freely use my examples of those experiences to help normalise the experience. Well, good afternoon again. Dr. Tess Crawley here, clinical and forensic psychologist. I was in the middle of a really good story and my Wi-Fi has let me down again today. So my apologies for double dipping on today's videos, but I did want to finish off the story that I was telling. So if you want to go back and see the video I've just finished posting, that one is all about what is stigma and why it's relevant for us to pay attention to whether or not we're letting stigma influence our help-seeking behaviours and our help-offering behaviours. So stigma is something that I feel quite passionately about. That's why I do these videos. I do them because I want to get the message out into the community that mental health issues and varying degrees of severity are incredibly common. That's number one. Two, that there's no shame in seeking help. In fact, one of the wisest things you can do when you're struggling in life, no matter what it's in, is to ask for help. In fact, when I have students in my placement, one of the things I encourage them to do is to know when to ask questions. I don't expect them to have all the answers. And in life, I think that's a bit of a philosophy to follow. If you don't know the answers, ask help. If you're struggling with your own emotional experiences, ask for help, because of course there's plenty of help available. And of course the other reason I do these videos is to encourage others to support each other in the community. So ahead of Are You OK Day tomorrow, which I will talk about tomorrow, today's video, well, videos plural, are about reducing stigma. So the heading of the video is also about how can you join my rebellion. So I've started nibbling away at this idea of a stigma rebellion because I think stigma is something that's quite insidious in our community. We see lots of media representations of mental health. You know, think about movies and how movies depict people with depression, or how movies depict people with other mental illnesses. And of course, it's very rarely flattering, and that really contributes to the stigma issues that we have as a society. So I want us all to become less frightened about having our names associated with something to do with mental health. Now, that's not to say that you necessarily need to go and tell the whole world your personal story, but if you're happy to stand up proudly and say, you know what, I'm not afraid to share a particular mental health post in the community. So it might be something that Beyond Blue has posted, it might be something that I've posted, it might be something that somebody else has posted that interests you and it's to do with mental health. If we as a community share those posts and get on board with breaking down some of the stigma associated with talking about mental health, I think we'll actually come a lot further in the great work that's already been done in Australia. I think we're very lucky in Australia. The work that Beyond Blue has done, the work that the Are You OK Day people have done, the work that organisations like Rural Alive and Well in our rural communities, all of those organisations are doing such great work in helping to reduce the stigma in our society around offering help and seeking help for mental health issues. I think as individuals, we could all up the ante a little bit more. So I think if we spend a second, literally a second, to like something that you've seen on Facebook or wherever it might be, Twitter or wherever, if you share something that interests you, because if it interests you, odds on it'll interest someone else as well. Don't be afraid to ask questions. So when an organisation posts something about mental health, not just me, but any organisation, when they're posting something on social media about mental health and you've got a question, feel free to ask it. You don't need to tell your whole personal life story in that question. That's not the purpose of it. But if you ask a question, odds on someone else has thought of the same question and might be interested in the answer that you receive. So if you think about it, your little steps towards helping stigma reduction in the community, all added up together, a whole lot of people are going to benefit from that groundswell of feeling safe and comfortable to ask, whether it's asking a question or asking for help. So if you want to join my Stigma Rebellion, you can make sure that you're sharing and liking some of my content, or all of it if you like. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can ask me questions. You can make comments. You can tag people that you think will be interested in some of the material I'm presenting. And see what you can do to help get some groundswell for this stigma rebellion that I'm trying to get pushed forward into the community, to break down those barriers to seeking help and to offering help. So I'll talk more about the offering help tomorrow when it's Are You OK Day, but just keep in mind, any day can be Are You OK Day. Touch base with your mates if you're worried about them, but we'll talk more in detail about that tomorrow. That's all for today. Have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.